The Bear. Once upon a time there was a king who had an only daughter. He was so proud and so fond of her that he was in constant terror that something would happen to her if she went outside the palace, and thus, owing to his great love for her, he forced her to lead a life of a prisoner, shut up within her own rooms. The princess did not like this at all, and one day she complained about it very bitterly to her nurse. Now, the nurse was a witch, though the king did not know it. For some time she listened and tried to soothe the princess, but when she saw that she would not be comforted, she said to her, "Your father loves you very dearly, as you know. Whatever you were to ask him, he would give you. The one thing he will not grant you is permission to leave the palace. Now, do what I tell you. Go to your father and ask him to give you a wooden wheelbarrow and a bear's skin. When you have got them, bring them to me, and I will touch them with my magic wand. The wheelbarrow will then move of itself, and you will take you at full speed wherever you want to go, and the bear's skin will make such a covering for you that no one will recognize you." So the princess did as the witch advised. The king, when he heard her strange request, was astonished, and asked her what she meant to do with a wheelbarrow and a bear's skin. And the princess answered, "You never let me leave the house. You might at least grant me this request." So the king granted it, and the princess went back to her nurse, taking the barrow and the bear's skin with her. As soon as the witch saw them, she touched them with her magic wand, and in a moment the barrow began to move about in all directions. The princess next put on the bearskin, which so completely changed her appearance that no one could have known that she was a girl and not a bear. In this strange attire, she seated herself on the barrow, and in a few minutes she found herself far away from the palace, moving rapidly through a great forest. Here she stopped the barrow with a sign that the witch had shown her, and hid herself in a thick grove of flowering shrubs. Now, it happened that a prince of the country was hunting with his dogs in the forest. And suddenly he caught sight of the bear riding among the shrubs, and called his dogs and hounded them on the attack. But the girl, seeing what peril she was in, cried, "Call off your dogs, or they will kill me! What harm have I ever done to you?" At these words, coming from a bear, the prince was so startled that for a moment he stood stock still. Then he said, quite gently, "Will you come with me, and I will take you home?" "I will come gladly," replied the bear, and seating herself on the barrow, it began at once to move in the direction of the prince's palace. You may imagine the surprise of the prince's mother when he saw her son return, accompanied by a bear, who at once set about doing the housework better than any servant the queen had ever had. Now, it happened that there were great festivities going on in the palace of a neighboring prince, and at dinner one day the prince said to his mother, "This evening there is going to be a great ball, to which I must go." And his mother answered, "Go and dance and enjoy yourself." Suddenly a voice came from under the table where the bear had rolled itself as to its wont. "Let me come to the boat. I too would like to dance." But the only answer the prince made was to give the bear a kick and to drive it out of the room. In the evening the prince set off for the ball. As soon as he started, the bear came to the queen and implored to be allowed to go to the ball, saying that she would hide herself so well that no one would know that she was there. The kind-hearted queen could not refuse her. Then the bear ran out to her barrow, threw off her bear skin, and touched it with a magic wand that the witch had given her. In a moment the skin was changed into an exquisite ball dress woven out of moonbeams, and the wheelbarrow was changed into a carriage drawn by two prancing steeds. Stepping into the carriage, the princess drove to the grand entrance of the palace. When she entered the ballroom in her wondrous dress of moonbeams, she looked so lovely and so different from all the other guests that everyone wondered who she was, and no one could tell where she had come from. From the moment he saw her, the prince fell desperately in love with her, and all the evening he would. When the ball was over, the princess drove away in her carriage at full speed, for she wished to get home in time to change her ball dress into the bearskin and the carriage back into the wheelbarrow, before anyone discovered who she was. The prince, putting spurs to his horse, rode after her, for he was determined not to let her out of his sight. But suddenly a thick mist arose and hid her from him. When he reached his home, he could talk to his mother of nothing else but the beautiful stranger with whom he had danced so often, and with whom he was so much in love. And the bear, beneath the table, smiled to itself and muttered, "I am a beautiful stranger." The next evening there was a second ball, and, as you may believe, the prince was determined not to miss it, for he thought he would once more see the lovely girl, and dance with her, and talk to her, and make her talk to him, for at the first ball she had never opened her lips. And sure enough, as the music struck up for the first dance, the beautiful stranger entered the room, looking more radiant than the night before, for this time her dress was woven out of the rays of the sun. All evening the prince danced with her, but she never spoke a word. When the ball was over, he tried once more to follow her carriage, that he might know from whence she came. But suddenly a great waterspout fell from the sky, and the blinding sheets of rain hid her from his sight. When he reached his home, he told his mother that he had again seen the lovely girl, and that this time she had been more beautiful than the night before. And again the bear smiled beneath the table and muttered, "I have taken him in for a second time, and he has no idea that the beautiful girl with whom he is in so much love is me." On the next evening, the prince returned to the palace for the third ball, for good things come in threes. And the princess went too, and this time she changed her bearskin into a dress woven out of the starlight, studded all over with gems, and she looked so dazzling and so beautiful that everybody wondered at her, and said that no one so beautiful had ever been seen before. And the prince danced with her, and though he could not induce her to speak, he succeeded in slipping a ring on her finger. When the ball was over, he followed her carriage and rode at such a pace that for long it kept it in sight. Then a terrible wind arose between him and the carriage, and he could no longer overtake it. When he reached his home, he said to his mother, "I do not know what has become of me. I think I shall go mad. I am so much in love with that girl, and have no means of finding out who she is. I danced with her and gave her a ring, and yet I don't know her name, nor where to find her." Then the bear laughed beneath the table and muttered to itself. And the prince continued, "I am tired to death. Order some soup to be made for me, but I won't want that bear to meddle with it. Every time I speak of my love, the brute mutters and laughs, and seems to mock me. I hate the sight of that creature. When the soup was ready, the bear brought it to the prince. But before handing it to him, she dropped into the plate the ring the prince had given her the night before at the ball. The prince began to eat his soup very slowly and languidly, for he was sad at heart, and all his thoughts were busy, wondering how and where he could see the lovely stranger again. Suddenly, he noticed the ring at the bottom of the plate. In a moment he recognized it, and was dumb with surprise. Then he saw the bear standing beside him, looking at him with gentle, beseeching eyes, and something in the eyes of the bear made him say, "Take off that skin, some mystery is hidden beneath it." And the bear's skin dropped, and the beautiful girl stood before him, in the dress woven out of the starlight, and he saw that she was the stranger with whom he had fallen so deeply in love. And now she appeared to him 1,000 times more beautiful than ever, and he led her to his mother, and the princess told them her story, and how she had been kept shut up by her father in his palace, and how she had wearied of her imprisonment. And the prince's mother loved her, and rejoiced that her son should have so good and beautiful a wife. So they were married, and lived happily for many years, and reigned wisely.